All right, I was for Mechia Obibia, Mema Obibia, so Addo. And I sign about live streaming, so program here 1 hour with Munufie. And you try say mostly streaming within 1 hour, so you beat me and Kwa there. Now, me sorry said the past 2 days, me ma online, Jumanti, Yana Achime, ama my a little bit busy. Meeting William Munufie Amankona. Me a solicitor, I go around in Europe. I specialize mostly on immigration law, I deal mostly with immigrants around Europe, and that is what I do. So sometimes I say, me free there, I just come on board, but be when me busier, then I just take it like that. Now, and I think say your live stream a bit funny, unyamra, na wahwe see every year. Say na make can see be streaming 1 hour no, by a possible send you become more than 1 hour because say you special guest over the week of Professor PLO Lumumba, Kumasi. Emma Nebema some lecture be on the 10th anniversary commemorative lecture of Atamels, your former president. When ya neighbor be kono. Inti and they be full speech, Now after that, yeah, the yankasa ye commentary, so art was so na fidi ye de abo jumano ediako. Inti and they say na ye be ye ni man. I think they be a bit surprising kaka ye be bo akwe nim kama pa. Na bima ye ready dada. Omo pese omo he Farouk Samu say why ready or he live in I think say Farouk why are they what shall say na why are they mabo abaso enti ene ye be bo akoso na ye start no ye mfa NDC ahom kakra emfa enhihim because ye say Ghana aye de aye clear actually obi say NPP on the way to the bush chasing the elephant to the bush. One of these days may try that doctor now say book aba na aye na twetwe nkomo enti mo ye hit NDC enyom kakra na afidi ye mfa nyom no enkeka ye ho na afidi ye hu say bibia ebekoso na within the shortest possible time no ye be share e program na nkasa ase ye be hwe the whole speech na Professor Lumumba emaya no after that no ubenya kwanya ase obe join ye live on the show on our WhatsApp lines ye de nyina ebetudwa enti WhatsApp lines na ye de be ye adwuma na ye 0508117781 nti o Ghana bituma use our WhatsApp line no and also we Europe nso ayo Finland then so ha so ye +358 4653622273 nti two WhatsApp lines ni nyina e bitime e de aye adwuma nti ene ye beka Professor Lumumba speech na o mai no ho asem na ye ba beka but after that na obenya kwanya say wankasa nso se na mekan no obedwan ye WhatsApp line na wo nso o de wadwen kire aba enti yen sha ase a yen ko no Farouk Samu I think say why she Farouk why she me da say Farouk all the message bi aba so e beto was na yakan na mo yen ko ne nkuti NDC nwum we say na enfa nkekan ho kakra e ba.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Farouk Otemenka.
Say them it on
All right, good. Farouk Samu say or when say we can offer free akra na say wenchi.
I'm free a class say.
All right, then you may say. Na Ghana to say.
Ghana there I tawe.
Na na do na
And
mo
your man
so
come
so
here
mo say Ghana aye de na wo de say Ghana itawe.
Ghana I tawe. I den center for awo no.
I see. Economy no mo aye
I
de na
den
say mo
say
aye de.
ponko nwa.
Economy no mo aye de
O
na
say
say mo aye de.
Ghana there Ghana there ya ebe de ama binom. Say ebe sorry na ama president ni vice ama be kan che Ghana for say sika ewo Ghana ha say.
Yet sika so and so
Vice
come
president
there.
no country say ono oya adwuma Bank of Ghana when he say sika no ta ho. President who can't say or my here my and of course here my because so we share your resources are actually yes here and of course say in here my
Debbie
na adia kwachia Now everyone saying more and more within the corridors of power. And feel it say omo ni atinka bia eche say Ghana ID. Say it's someone can be no the bia ya can man ID or my ID neither. As someone na Mississippi bia e country among for say Ghana no yet man phone na Ghana ID amayo. Na ya no the amount more and more within the corridor of power and more muta powers in there. Omo hu say omo ni bia eche say man ID. See in fact, only the atwe na be na kakra bia Minister of Sanitation ono kwa wanya popular one kan ho ye kan akuku damfo na on kan ho na yan kwati
achem group no
kra
wanya popular
$1 million plus 300,000 euro why enyeska kuma
eshanem pass
esika ebetimi asesa nipa bebre France abrabo ebetimi asesa nipa bebre France shebre amonfo edi adajo amonfo ATM say amonfo epeskatia mo school fees omunya amonfo dwi omo amfa busiafo a omo dwi die ombedi the next meal and dos Ghana hasi na wonam a we obi a wonam a ofu trotro ewura mu epie ekoba nye obi na becho say amonfo ho kire won na ade enkwati a maame baako se beyew se bia o mi de mitimi ho
Faruk na ade ha me kwan se ya berwa so ya be ba kra nka ne me fi se bia
o yewa
ode kwa na ya berwa ye mo akoko kra ntimi nwe
be gidi se na full soldier MPP for full soldiers ATM go ka
breaking the eight
kind of busia be gidi se wo kind of busia baako bi no etaso enno so no nipa no ho kire no na busia fo wi na fie e wo no na ni family the was sika eti se e wo dem which means a wotie story no krampo yes ni kono no akwachi girl no akwakwatu no putupuru e wo dem a nka
onim se sika no bi kura yera ho ase eta ho
we chire se sika pudio e na odi agu dem a afi de wan kura wa confuse on hu ba bia on fanfa anase de on fanye we Minister of Sanitation no then I could do akuku damfo to say finance
money na say for the road minister no
gabi o tire dako
so on the governor
Minister of Roads and Highway ni na say for the nene bubuja no na bongo mama wura bi say bia so flat staffer ye ko bia no na fie o almost ye bia be $300,000 and a be 100,000 euros staffer common staffer saska we di wa hwan ko ya juma ube ya juma abo kokra wo twini be firi wo tim ye serious business
over 100 years so we teacher ni and now we nurse ni na wo Ghana wa over 100 years $100 million wo san kabida
ube wu asa ba kura saska no wonya wonti ni pampan kura na wanya wo ko fa na wahin nti we de Ghana wa nti se de amofo etwaadwajo amofo ho kyire won amofo edwane hia amofo kofa Libya ekofa Mediterranean Sea amofo ma drawn into that sea no nti enye momobo na yankopon aye adom yankopon ache ya de say Ghana every single region be it media mo man ye Ghana every single region be a natural resource or unique ya we are seeing fana ina hia na mwaba na mwatamsa resources ina e de chiche ema amrofo ema omusisa bibia kona mo de mo 10% de ya wide amount
na waje ato ho
na amafo ho chire wo amafo ntimi tua school fees amafo ntimi ni aduane pa amafo ntimi tua light bill say so when him say light bill ai loan no amokoji ye no loan de ai IMF loan no conditional e ho ni say every 3 months quarterly they say to utility today timui every 3 months because ono no that I won tua wo tua kra enye ne bottom sika e na wo di tua
dabi
ti eno no ye problem ma no
dabi
wo tua kra obetua no double nti Ghana de obi abeka njo say Ghana ajo obi abeka say Ghana better bia no
obwa
ya ne ni adi chinye probably Ebi onye Akufo-Addo na obey ni cousin. So onye ni cousin so obey ni ba. Until we dey enye wanwa.
All right, Farouk, nti meda say ofre enwumre na yeba be Professor Lumumba speech na okwo deliver e wo Kumasi no nti no yewia yebesi abeto aso na wa wo akwanya bia no betimi aba WhatsApp line na that screen so no and I say we the comment bi aba so a betimi bo say na ma bibia ma nti Farouk meda wase
Waka mate be me dey say mo say dey ozi kan say wo pese wo play the speech na be me dey say wo be play speech na ma ya tie bi na on sambi a kan dey so e dey aba be fo aso
mate ti meda se pa.
Okay, Mr. Medasi.
All right, yeah, Mr. Kan Farouk Samu from Accra, or Kasefri Accra, and you know, Farouk the Najan Chiraba, Ewa, Wachera, Ewa Ghana, and so be more enjoy because in Ghana, a day. Now, so to be $1 million, a Shannon pass it there, Menyes was a Sahachereno, or Kahubi. It is Sikaso, so come the end. My enyo here, mine, and now a mambo born into Ghana, Nibia, home, Echeno. Then the second person is also why more World Bank of Ghana Sikano Waha. Ampa Sikano Waha because it's $1 million. It should be passed there. Say Sikano Waha. And Timo Menko to Prof. Now for the we are your best sign at Waso. Program a 1 hour with Monofie. And WhatsApp numbers and open so I'll be commenting on this show. Program now is live on YouTube as well. At Monofie. YouTube also the same 1 hour with Monofie. Facebook also 1 hour with Monofie and I say NDC Finland branch that OBBAC.
Thank you very much. Nana Professor Chair, the Vice Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the incoming President of the Republic of Ghana, 7 January 2025. The National Chairman of the NDC, the speakers, I stand on the existing protocol. Professor PLO Lumumba is a professor of public law, a holder of a Doctor of Laws on the Law of the Sea from the University of Ghent, Belgium. He has a Master of Laws degree and Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Nairobi. Professor PLO Lumumba holds an honorary degree of Doctor of Letters from the University of Cape Coast, Ghana. He is also a holder of the degree of Doctor of Science, the Human Bells University of Technology in Nigeria. He has a chieftaincy title. He is Tango Na, Warrior Chief of Africa, of Sankana traditional area of the Upper West region. He has been trained on human rights at the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies of the University of London, humanitarian law at the Raoul Wallenberg Institute of the University of Lund in Sweden, and on international humanitarian law in Geneva, Switzerland. He is an advocate of the High Courts of Kenya and Tanganyika and a certified mediator. He is a fellow of the Institute of Certified Public Secretaries of Kenya, a fellow of Academy of Sciences, and he is the chairman of Farafina Investment Group in Monrovia and Economic Strategic Growth and Development Initiative for Africa in Nigeria. Professor Lumumba is the immediate former director and chief executive officer of the Kenya School of Law, a former secretary of the Constitution of Kenya Review Commission, and a former director of the defunct Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission. He is a renowned legal practitioner. He has written several books. He has edited several journals, and he co-authored the Constitution of Kenya 2010 an introductory commentary. He has published numerous articles in reference journals and several book chapters. He has been named and recognized by the International Commission of Jurists of Kenya, the Law Society of Kenya, for his exemplary contribution to the legal profession. He was recognized by the Kenya-USA Association for Martin Luther King Jr. and awarded the Leadership Award in 1996. He was also the recipient of the 2008 Martin Luther King Africa Salute to Greatness Award. He was awarded a Lifetime Achievement for Patriotism and Advocacy by the Africa Forum in 2017. He was recognized by the New African magazine as one of the 100 most influential Africans in 2017. In January 2018, he received the following awards and recognition. 1, the Africa Luminary Award by the African Cultural Association in the United States of America. Freedom of the City of Lowell in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in the United States of America. Recognition by the House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for exemplary work in the fight against corruption and bad governance in Africa. Professor PLO Lumumba currently practices law with the Lumumba and Lumumba Advocates and coordinates activities under the aegis of the PLO Lumumba Foundation. We now present Professor PLO Lumumba.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You may resume your seats. Let me start by recognizing the chair of this session, Nana Professor. Permit me also to recognize the Vice Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And permit me to recognize my friend, the former President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, whom I wish well. And permit me to recognize the students here present and to stand on the protocols that have been established before I rose. Let me say how great I am to be given the honor and privilege to deliver the commemorative lecture of a man whom history already acknowledges as great, His Excellency John Evans Atta Mills, now with the Lord. It gladdens my heart to be present before you because this lecture is being delivered at a time when our continent is at crossroads in many ways. It is being delivered at a time when we as Africans are under an obligation to ask ourselves many uncomfortable questions. It comes at a time when the continent of Africa is beginning to run short of heroes to emulate. It comes at a time when political leadership is synonymous with dishonesty. It comes at a time when this continent can and must rise from the quicksand of dishonesty and blatant thievery in order to rise to the firm ground of hope. And therefore, when we are called upon to commemorate the life and times of President Atta Mills, a number of questions must come to mind. History records and will continue to do so until it is otherwise proven that he was the shortest serving president of the Republic of Ghana. But his footprints in the sands of time tells us that it's not how long you serve that matters, but how well you serve. So the first message that we are sending out today to Africans is that longevity in office in and of itself is not what makes one great, but the quality of service. And I'm speaking at a time when the continent of Africa has no shortage of dinosaurs who have refused to leave the stage. And their refusal to leave the stage has made Africa the poorer. We are celebrating John Evans Atta Mills because he reminds us that it's not how long you serve, but how well you serve. I'm speaking at a time when Africa, indeed many African countries, are infamous because of individuals who occupy public space, and their greatest claim to fame is that they are dishonest, is that they are arrogant, is that they are thieves. And therefore, when we celebrate President John Atta Mills, whom we are told and we are aware was a votary for transparency, we are telling them that it is not how long you serve, it is how well you serve. We are celebrating and commemorating John Atta Mills at a time when the continent of Africa is laboring under the weight of conflict. And if you ever doubted, cast your eye around the continent. Cast your eye to Sudan. Africans are dying in the thousands. Cast your eye to southern Cameroon. People are dying in the thousands. Cast your eye to Somalia. People are dying. Cast your eye to northern Burkina Faso. The continent is not at ease. And we are commemorating Professor John Atta Mills because he was known as the King of Peace. And we are saying that this is the time that we must give practical meaning to what he stood for, in recognition that this continent will realize our potential until we are peaceful. And I'm not talking about the peace of the graveyard. I'm talking about peace that is real, peace that allows us to exploit our potential, peace that allows us to live in dignity. This man that we are commemorating today was a warrior for peace and justice, and he was such a warrior recognized only for slightly over 3.5 years, demonstrating that it's not how long you serve, but how well you serve. And we are here to also remind ourselves, particularly at a time when in the continent of Africa, power is attended by pomp and circumstance. When power in Africa is attended by wastage, where power is attended by razzmatazz, where power is attended by abuse of office, and we are reminded that one of Atta Mills' greatest claim to fame was humility. We are celebrating humility, and from this podium we are telling the arrogant African politician, be not arrogant. Be not arrogant, because the words of the Bible are still true, that if you are arrogant, there shall still appear a fingerless God, and it shall be said, mene, tekel, upersin, that your words and days have been weighed and you've been found wanting. We are reminding them that Atta Mills was the personification of humility, and if Africa is to be great, we must have men and women who are humble, because humility is the mother's milk of servant leadership. We are here to celebrate Atta Mills because he was a Pan-Africanist. He realized, like his predecessors, and it was here in Ghana, not too far from here, in 1957, when another great Ghanaian said that the independence of Ghana meant nothing if the rest of Africa was not independent. That great Ghanaian for whom this university is named was a Sajia for Kwame Nkrumah. And we are here at a university that is named for him, and I'm aware, I can remember the speech that that man delivered on the day that this university was established, and it's not lost on me that the man in whose honor we are standing here today and in whose honor we are assembled here today was an academic. I'm not unaware that he was an academic of giant proportion, that he bestrode the academic field like the fabled Colossus, that I, in fact, did meet him as an academic, and that he distinguished himself as an academic. We are here, therefore, to send word to Africa that in order for Africa to grow, we must give pride of place to education, because education is what will revolutionize the continent of Africa. It is education that is going to change Africa. If we are going to compete with everybody, if we are going to compete with the Europeans, with the Chinese, with the Koreans, and the Indians, we must give meaning to what was initiated by Atta Mills. Let the young men and women who are present here in this assembly know that there is no substitute for education. But what kind of education? Is the education that will make us inventors and innovators. It is the kind of education that is going to make Africa great again. And I can hear through the vicissitudes of time the words in silence of John Evans Atta Mills speaking to you, young men, and telling you, rise up and do what is right and good. Rise up. Don't think that being Ghanaian is great. No, it is not. Don't think that being black is great. No, it is not. What is great is our recognition that Africa is great. And if Africa is to be great, it must be great from Ghana. It must be great from South Africa. It must be great from everywhere. I can hear John Evans Atta Mills speaking to us. But the question is, do you hear John Atta Mills? The question is, even if you hear him, are you hearkening to his voice? The question is, are we assembled here merely because it is an annual jamboree, or we are wedded to the ideals of John Atta Mills? John Atta Mills. I'm speaking to young and old people here in Kumasi. I know not whether they hear me, but I want you to speak and touch their hearts. Touch their hearts with the ideals that you stood for. Touch their hearts with the spirit of compassion. Touch their hearts with the spirit of humility. Touch their hearts with the spirit of vision. Touch their heart with the spirits of equity. Touch their heart that they may know that Ghana can only be great if they are great, and if our young men and women are great. Touch their hearts. We are assembled here to remind ourselves that whatever happens to us, history will record what we do. And I remember as a young student and as a young curious mind, I read about a young Greek lad whom you young men should read about. The lad was called Herostratus. Throughout his life, he did nothing or did very little, but yet he had the desire to be great. So just before he died, he burnt a cathedral that he may be remembered. Indeed, history now remembers Herostratus as the person who burnt a cathedral. There are two ways of getting into history: burning cathedrals or doing the right thing. Choose you now what you want to do. John Evans Atta Mills did not burn any cathedral. John Atta Mills did not steal any money. John Atta Mills did not do anything untoward. John Atta Mills did the right thing. John Atta Mills was compassionate. John Atta Mills served with dedication. John Atta Mills served Ghana. John Atta Mills served Africa. Choose you now. Do you want to burn cathedrals or do good? As for me, I suggest we follow John Evans Atta Mills. And you know, when we speak about great men such as John Evans Atta Mills, we must speak about them in the context of the continent of Africa, because Ghana is not an island. Because Ghana can only be great if the whole continent of Africa is great. Because Ghana is the cradle of liberation for the continent of Africa. And if Ghana gets it right, Africa gets it right. Ghana is the true north of African liberation. Ghana is the political mecca of Africa. And if Ghana is the political mecca of Africa, you must have hygiene in your politics. You must sanitize your politics. And history tells me that during the 3.5 years that John Evans Atta Mills served, your politics knew hygiene. That during that period when he serves, it is meritocracy rather than mediocrity that ruled. And I'm saying, therefore, that as we commemorate the life of John Evans Atta Mills, we must be warriors for meritocracy. For too long, in the continent of Africa, including here in Ghana sometimes, we have allowed men and women who have no credentials to rise to high heights. John Atta Mills is telling us the time to stop is now. For too long, we have had individuals whose only claim to fame is avarice rise to high height. John Atta Mills is telling us, no, we should not. We have for too long allowed our institutions to be led by men and women who have no business leading domestic and village cattle dips, because even the cows will reject them. So today, we are here to celebrate a great man who served well, a great man who believed that you are not successful until your successor succeeds, a great man who believed that life and political office is a relay race, that you run your leg and hand over the baton to another generation. A great man who recognized that academic excellence combined with political excellence and agility is indeed the recipe for success. A great man who knew that servant leadership is what his country needs. A great man who knew that simplicity is the highest form of sophistication. A great man who recognized that equity is the greatest form of development, and that is why we hear testimonies where men and women during his term were judged not by the color of their skin or by their gender, but by their character. That is the man that we need now. That is the man of whom I speak now. That is the man whom we are commemorating today. And you know, when you speak about such a man, you don't speak for too long because it is unwise to do so. When you speak of such a man, you only touch that which is important. And when I speak about him, and as I must not speak for too long, I remember as a young student in 1979, I remember reading a book that in some ways spoke about John Evans Atta Mills. That book is a Greek tragedy. That book is Sophocles' Oedipus. And I remember in the very last words of that book, some parts are relevant, but some parts are not relevant. The relevant part that relates to John Atta Mills is what I will refer to when we speak about him. Behold, sons and daughters of Ghana and Africa, there lived John Atta Mills, one of the greatest Ghanaians that Ghana has ever produced. He came and served for a short time. He served in humility, in recognition that success must never be defined by he who is successful, but is defined by those who live long after him. Today, I can make an announcement that indeed John Evans Atta Mills was a successful man. He was a successful man because 10 years after he was gathered to his fathers, we are assembled here, young and old, to commemorate him. He was a successful man because we are gathered here. We are gathered here from traditional chieftaincies, and we are saying he was a great man. We are gathered here from the academia, and we are saying he was a great man. We are gathered here from the political arena, and we are saying he was a great man. We are gathered here from the students who are eager with curiosity, and they are saying, although we did not see him, he was a great man. We are gathered here because I come from Kenya, and I am saying he was a great man. He must have been great indeed. And you know, the only lesson that he now teaches us, particularly to you young men and women, he is telling us, I came, I saw, I played my part. You who are young, you look at the things that I did. Look at the things that others did. Emulate what I did, and go out into the world and prove that it can be done, because it must be done, and because if it is not done, Africa will never realize our potential. So I say with you today, John Atta Mills is dead. Long live John Atta Mills. Long live John Atta Mills. God bless you.
All right, Busia for Yasan Aba. We listened to a very great speech from Prof. Now, what we anything what we're gonna do and say you will be phone lines not to wow what maybe I know. Will to me after and after the what you be charging. Before we do that, now, I think that Prof make a lot of statements about Prof Mills. Now, you say na asumdwe hene no otie. Nti mama yenko kae ne kakra ewo Prof Mills ete asem true anas na yɛhwɛ action a otekie na afidi we are going to build our discussions from here. Program here 1 hour with Munufie me air from live from Helsinki, Finland. Me din any William Munufie Amankona. Enti so you will be a open join the program here every day biano about 1 hour. Enti Emmanuel Asifua today the leaders see no purpose for even today and the future generation. Land degradation, forest destruction, and lack of even common morals. No credit. Yempanyifo no ade a omonim ya na se sika wia. Enti abusafo mo yenhwe Professor Mills wia afede ya ba beto discussion so.
That I should let you know. I was waiting for the Anas video to be shown, and that confirmed the reports that I've been having all along. Officers of customs, you are Ghanaian citizens. You have to help us to build a better Ghana. But if this is the kind of behavior, this is the kind of attitude that you have, you are not helping us in any way. Indeed, today, I came to express my disgust and my revulsion at the way some of you are helping to erode the benefits that we are making or we have to give to our people. You are in charge of revenue. Every day we hear reports about malpractices. People collecting bribes with careless abandon. People who think that they are entitled to take bribes. How can we get rid of corruption? I'm not saying that nobody should appreciate the work that you are doing. But when you make it a condition, somebody should give you some money before you perform your duties. I've known Customs for quite some time. I was Commissioner of Internal Revenue. And the Anas video confirmed the fears I've had for quite some time. Look at yourself. I want to talk very frankly to you. Somebody joins Customs, 2-3 years, the person is putting up a building. The person owns a car. In what organization will it take you 3 years to build? And it is not the exception. It is the rule. Very often, my Minister for Finance is worried about the fiscal gap that we have. And your duty is to collect, to display transparency in the way you operate. And I'm happy with the initiative that General Mode has taken. And I give him my full support. My brothers and sisters, let me be very honest with you. If it means transferring everybody, I will give him the authority to do so. If it means changing all the people in Customs, I will do so. Because we do not owe anybody anything. But I know that
Mini ya memwajo nyumre. Hello, Prof Odikai. All right, I think say one to me and so these were the words of Professor John Evans at Amels. Now you could see from the voice and the tonation of the man, say he had Ghana at heart. And he say build Ghana boom there. This is how we have to go. Send Professor Lumumba Kaino. The leadership of the current generation and about arrogance in Tino, Okan Samchon Mukwana Omunti. Arrogance. Okan here Omunti. They are not ready to listen. Hello, good evening. I think Nipanenti me and so you could see from the way our Prof Ekasane said everything was not well in Ghana. It's a Ghana for no. You choose the best leadership on betime abua ama Ghana. It's me afa ntuma pabi ejina so. Because ya nyene sa ade a enya ade a ebeboa eman no. Nti enne ye hwe se ye betime apeke course bi a discussion no ye be no 0508117781. Nti me hwe se metime afofrofo ya baso. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Menua.
About your temenka.
All
right. You heard Professor Lumumba's statements here, Maya. What do you make out of the statements?
Okay, Medawasi, Fosu Gideon, NDC Bono East Communication Team Member, Teaching South Communication Team Member. And you so Ghana for Edawasi, so did Jumadi Papa say, a Gua Quaima, Yansu Yebenya Muchefa, Naya Timia Boy, Amaya contribute a quota, Naya they are building Ghana, yes, and as a Ghana, Yapeno, Nankopon, and to
Amen.
Mechia a dom and pimpema a walk or platform you saw or more monitor show nina because omuniwa and kakasa me babekain a home be an infas and kameka because omunity they are the reason why you waha ye kasentimeda or monswase.
No great.
No correct the course so no ye de kai ye papa John Evans Atamels. Yeah, when the for Africa continent idea, you can't of Benfo Okunini Bakopa, Professor PLO Lumumba, Ebekai, a hotel na a classroom. Now you move be Musa Papana, a shay and Kuna says, Sebi. Titi Bremwan Sanfono, a bida so wo ye pen ye so. Sana ye a regime. Na Nensema Wakayano. Bebre efa masum na many a to masuma a yame depa ne say. It is not how long you serve, but how well you serve your people. To me, ya dea a hun here. Na yedi to me mo be a with me the dear woo, yedi to me mo bin so a with me the man qua. Na momna ne kasa ni nyina de e kwa kwkyerese Obenfo John Evans Atamels. Ni tumi a wenyaye no wode somne mind de mankwa e ma Ghana e ba nkwa mu bi me pa cho wote menka
Metepa bibia ekle
na okoso e ka bibi se Obenfo John Evans Atamels e kasa yen ho de bia wo kasa kire wo man yi. Now the question is say, are you hearkening to his voice? There is a say that success without successor is ultimately failure. Success without successor is ultimately failure. Nti yanhwe Obenfo John Evans Atamels in the life I will live as teacher no watete nkora. Nti woni ho no otete e bi te say Okuja Tonom, former President John Dramani Mahama nom etete nkrofo a woni ho mutimi be so o mainumu e drive o maino e de ko ba bi papa na enya me nwanwa say John Evans Atamels and a pow John Dramani Mahama e man som na say because John Evans Atamels free one Mahama bedi ade ne yehu nhyehyɛ ya wodi gu akwan mu and everything was directed or he was emulating the footsteps of Professor Mills. Na kwan ena oye se obesua. Se meka ne tra se ya ebia de etie me nte ase e John Dramani Mahama we. Ena okọ dunkwa wo ba bia okoto se DC yibi e de chamfine be for asinsuo bi so ye galamse a wo yi na di pama no free office. John Dramani Mahama we ena wo hu se ni minister aboni tim se media minya sika be $1 million a major politics or pamono oyi na di John Dramani Mahama we ya was some Professor Evans Atamels asikro ya ena ni colleague member of parliament a woni ni nyina some parliament dan mu honorable Abuga Pele ye hwehwe agidan sensem a ye hu sekata asahya ne proye ne ho abon mu Ono ankasa de ne colleague no ko gina court ma ye born charge 14 count ema ye gina so prosecute too no. This is the manner or somewhat under or some under J emails into wosua na kwan na wenya opportunity no or the ye saa nneɛma no ɛyɛ adwuma. Na Professor Kasa na or kasa ni nyina no or kasa tete de etwema na wa point ya besi enne ne ekoso wo Ghana. Minua enne Ghana areho asefem na ne ekoso no sebe time bro so. Time bro so. Chese na me mimblemi obia esan say empanimfo say aboa apese say bibia nye na hi se de dane no bo ho ma yehu ni yam bo ho ma yehu ne bobre aboa apese o se bibia nye na hi se de dane ni yam de hwe ho ma yehu ne bobre nipa binumu a yetu wonfo na wante na okosan lai koto aba kofa na nado danko akufu ado na ne ba omi a nesebe omadane amane omadane ohaw eka dadwene bebare Ghana fo komu no sometimes afo no na ya me blame omo journalist bi a eje paremfo na ye ka sei na papa ya wo ba be dia de etie na omaje paremfo se da bi still a omo be defend no omo na me blame omo asofofo a na omo de si nyame adwuma na omo ye nti omo hu nokore the lives of Professor Matenom nti omo de omo be ka nokore na omo de agu abanda da no ni John Dramani Mahama hu fin in favor of Akufo-Addo no omo na sa ankrofo ya meka say omo na me di omo ho yaw because omo na de yan call how amani hunu kodan na Ghana 40 million ene yan hwe de esi wo Ghana every day ade be chimbia scandal for pop up. Me pacho ye ni wo man we mu na minister bi ne driver keke o ne driver ekokofa 17 million Ghana cedis ema minister ni twahwe ye me pacho what is our story no enche kra o man we ya mo ye wa ha ena Dr. KK Sapon ne driver kokoyi dollars e showcase o table so e kire dollars a wanya abra na MPP ma ban mu no na ye nhu bibisa yet Ghana ya na MPP regional chairman wo Kumasi the stronghold of MPP eye wuntumi kokoka say we yi otumfo free wa ye galamsey ya nti wono na wo gold pa ko yi gold e wo ni TV so e de kire Ghana for so they keep breaking the law with impunity obi ani wa o check e omo if it's a mampani na nkasa wadano na nka obetene wom no na no sim ne trikim ne yam dambi na afen so namfo mpenafo sebe ba maamenom anuanom na wa appointed ye twa ne ho nti no obi ye bone a obi ntu obi fo na anu ada yete ha na foforo ba bebo mu na ensem na scandals a esi no enye se opposition party na de ba abontin eye wo mo a wo nipa na de sa scandal na ba because ye hwe minister adubu ahen ensenya wo jejejeje damude me pa cho wote ho asem mampanyi di na niwuo se wasake no na momboni a wadi ne de hwebuada yakata kata so eno da nchen a hwejugin ahen wane Nigeria wane nikuta nkoda na ba say within 2021 11th of February 2021 papa MPP ba ban ma ye ne say onye public relation ewo Flat Star House ho no in fact watimasi abansoro nko anan aton sase bebre asisi dantia atoto cars ahodo bebre within that short time ena yenka bi nhemu na wotwe emma ye kura ye maami Cecilia dapa ne de aba beto so yi na chete abeto dwa da bia nso no ne ha me ne se corruption scandal eba no so say ne adikan abadada no now ne ye ka ho asem yi ye 1 million
omu si ne dan nti e say challenge
dan sa pepepe bon ke sa $1 million scandal we aba amanfo tutu oka Ghana ni no $1 million no wodi ma de pro na na no Mitie Yenua Malik Basantele, that's the deputy communication officer for NDC National. Now obreki ade bi down na me am the paint to ho na mete ase. Say you can say $1 million say we are adwuma e wo Ghana ha na say we pay 10,000 which is sikadada 100 million. It means say we be adwuma sa 101 years and sana wetimi anya sa sika no. Ye ka ho asem no. Say we teacher ni a wakatua 3,000. Just a we year Juma star 320 years and son of wetting yenya sika, ye can once a month.
This can be a saving qua.
Oh, Sanka, what a would ya, Sanka. Now, we
are magicians, this can win be.
Do year Juma 320 years. At that, Mamma Brewa 68 years at Danny Dame. Now, you see, your mom.
All right, I think so.
Anyway, yeah, or Massia Bontin so we defend it, sir. Bonnie when patch out Menka.
I also, yes.
Hello.
Also.
Now,
I think they're getting online or anti and so. Nti yebeko na messages about now just me can be there's surely life after death, but you don't mind, don't care about anything. You will surely pay for everything evil done on this earth. Will be the or the banana. Will be so say, brother, thanks for you. God bless you. Okay, all right. And so will be so the no and Bastino the corruption is at peak in Ghana today. So sad, but this is where we have gotten to. Being so Eddie, no, watching you live from Pusiga and also Adamu, so they are the buy, no. And I think say, and yeah, we fought a good fight. 1 hour with Munufi, you know. Yatimiaba within the 1 hour na the BI, no. But Yami had more china, the program made the babano. A bit different because the legal aspect of Mami Cecilia. Dapa and semno because I think say as Ghanaians and sometimes they just say you protect your hokakra, then we become a bit fair. Although say maybe my medical first can free, you know, it's nobody knows the source of the money and the quantum of securities were and so we don't actually know how the money got there. But we need to go after the legal aspect of science and you know. I think say Honorable Martin Amidu actually be for her end. Ochina meba me be discuss ansem no, and I think say many honorable matter me do ya adwen kakra because Ghana name bi ko so ha je say ehwe sa ne mani yi say ya hwe ni ya man no krofo bi be kan bom asay man no. Mr. Mills was a man of peace and love in this country. Shalom Kwanzaa and so Ediano no. And I'm watching you live from Ashalaboche, Poliho, Morgan, and so Magain also Ediano no. Enti 1 hour with Munufi, you know, every day be in a 1 hour program, and person be usually never bro 1 hour so. Enti me da obi be say, well, nyamre na ene ohwe me be answer no. Me da wase pa. Me din any William Munufi aman kona. Enti say unyamre na ohwe me be na, and also a very nice program. Every day I try to stream live on this particular show. Nyame ya adoma ochina yebeto aso. Mahmoud, open me free boko. And that's another boko to say that be a since Nyame Adom watching a sign about life. Now, Yababe to also with a different topic. Every day we come out with a different topic. I don't actually insult here. Yeah, we say things as it is. You can't look on so edit team mufuo. Now after that, no one can make your own judgment out of it. Shalom. So let's all come together to save our country. Ghana, no correct. Oh, yeah, babu no Ghana. The only thing you have is Ghana. You need baby yako. Oh, the idea country mukano kwa obesiaba. So that is what we do. Enti, I will see if we say build the Ghana, you know, together. I say a collective ideas near the build Ghana. No, it doesn't matter or it doesn't care. So we NPP new, we NDC new. What we need to do is say, I'll see build the Ghana together. And this year, president, ni ministers are more. We come together as a communal labor, then we kick them out. Into 2024, no, I say kick NPP out, and that is what I hope say we all need to do. It's an ahokyere na ɔmode aba Ghana no. So much say unhu ba bia obefa. Omo government and his appointees in Kwan scan nyina no. Akosho mbotom. And sorry to say omo person omo fo bia as laborers in the country. Na ye adwuma de mo. By no nso no ensese itimi ma na ba saa. Enti ye behwe how a saa ne ma nyina ebekọ. Because amamuo na omo bu no enya amamuo a ebeboa. Na ahantan nso ahye omo ma. Enti saa ne ma nyina na gesi ehwe na ye bo omo na ye pam saa ban we say come 2024 general election. Enti me da obi bia ase for the program of the day. Na nyame ya adom a ochina ye besan aba beto so.